If you were not, you would most likely not be talking with us. You are on that timeline because we are on that timeline, and you are interested in the idea and asking those questions, which indicates that if you were not on that timeline, it would probably not be the subject of your question.
And is there a certain frequency you have to be at in order to be on the timeline?
Specifically, something that will be vibrationally compatible with the introduction of open contact and extraterrestrials in the next couple of years. It will be a higher frequency than average on your planet, most likely somewhere above 80,000 cycles per second as we read that energy.
And are there any other elements having to do with like the life plan that you created that would ensure that you're on the path to having contact?
Again, you're on that path, or you would not be speaking with us and you would not be considering these things. The idea simply, again, is to follow the formula and recognize that you control the speed at which you will experience the idea of contact and exactly in what way you will experience contact. But the idea of contact is relatively inevitable now for your entire planet. Even for those who may reject it, they will still be aware that it is an option or a choice. What they will do with it will be up to them at that point. But contact for the majority of your planet at this time is inevitable.
And why are countries like China more technologically advanced than nations such as, say, Ethiopia or Nigeria? Um, is there a way to integrate with the consciousness of spiritual traditions and at the same time pursue Western technology through software or something like that in order to help them advance?
Yes, of course, anything can be done in balance. The idea of the advancement of technology does not in any way, shape, or form exclude the extension or expansion of spiritual awareness. It's simply how you choose to do it, whether it is in balance or not, or whether you are sacrificing one for the other. The idea, again, is that typically speaking, when you advance your spirituality, the type of technology or the way in which you use technology will also most likely be used in service to others. Whereas if you only focus on the idea of physicality and technology, then you may be able to use technology in a way that is harmful to others. So there must be a balance. The idea is that different countries also have a life path plan, a collective plan. So those that may seem to be more technologically advanced, that is simply what they have chosen to experience as a group. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are spiritually advanced, but there may be other forms in which they can express the idea of the balancing of their technology so that it can be, to some degree, adapted for service to humanity.
And you've said that all the ETs groups will be involved in many aspects of our civilization, or the ones that we have contact with, including politics. How will we know that we won't regret allowing and inviting open contact?
If you do not understand yet at this point that the extraterrestrials involved in open contact have humanity's best interests at heart, then you would assume that you might have the ability to experience regret. If you understand that they have your best interests at heart, then you will know that that is not something you would experience.
Um, One individual is asking that they're having a difficult time watching some of the people they love distance themselves from that person. And their question is, how do we follow our passion and choose happiness when our loved ones don't have the same vision, especially when it's our adult children who no longer resonate with them? Is there a way to enlighten them in this very polarized world we live in?
You can always share information that you believe might be of benefit to them and allow them to experience positive, constructive, beneficial lives. But again, you have to love them enough to allow them to choose their own path because you don't know what their life path is. Even they may be your children. That doesn't mean that you get to say what their life path is. So the idea is to maintain your compassion and unconditional love, giving them the support and information when and where appropriate that you believe can assist them. But what they do with it, you have to be loving enough to know that it's none of your business. You can only support and help them to a certain point. And if they simply refuse to accept that at this point in their lives, you have to know that you have at least given them the option of something to consider, which they may consider down the road when they gain more experience, but they don't have to. So you have to be unconditionally loving enough to allow them to make their choices, even after you have given them the information that could be of benefit to them.
And how will our work life look after open contact? Will, with new technologies emerging, will people with no related experience be offered the opportunity to learn if they would like vibrational medicine or things like that?
Yes. Yes, many, many opportunities will be presented to humanity. Many things will be given to you that if you gravitate toward them, if you are passionate about them, you will have the opportunity to be taught and to learn these things. So extraterrestrials will offer many new career opportunities, to put it in those terms, many new understandings of how to approach technology. Many new openings will be created, and you will be given the opportunity to learn these things.
And was the tampering with the humanoid genes a violation of some galactic code?
It was against the laws of the Anunnaki, which is why those that did it were removed from the planet, and why those that remained or those that oversaw the planet in a more positive way recognized that they had the responsibility to some degree to now guide humanity, as Homo sapiens had been created by the infusion of extraterrestrial genes from their society. And so, in that guidance, taking up the responsibility for those who had gone against the laws to create Homo sapiens to begin with.
What actually happened to those ones that were removed?
They were simply brought back to society and, in a sense, retrained.
This question is, what is the conscience?
Conscience is your soul sending you information and messages that are in alignment with your true vibration, the vibration of source, the vibration of existence, so that you always have a kind of guidepost or a marker as to what the vibration is, that if you stray from it will feel like you are out of sorts, will feel like you are swimming upstream, will feel like there is some kind of resistance, will not feel comfortable to you. And it is that feeling of discomfort of straying from your true vibration that you recognize and interpret as the idea of a conscience.
And this question is about babies that pass away in the womb. What I, this person wants reassurance that babies that die in the womb don't suffer and that their souls are not yet in their little bodies. Can you provide any information about that?
Yes, remember that a soul, in a sense, does not actually permanently attach to the idea of the physical experience or the physical form until even all the way up to 7 years of age or even older. But the idea is that some souls do not necessarily wish to have a full term experience of physical reality. It's sort of like the analogy of dipping your toe in the water to gain a certain kind of feeling for physicality, a certain level of experience, but only in a limited way. And so a soul may not choose to go full term in that sense. It will not suffer. The body will not suffer. It will simply go back into the absorption of the body or be released from the body when the soul decides that it doesn't necessarily want to experience a full life of physical reality, even though it may have been started. But again, these are things that can happen from the soul perspective if it only wishes to experience something minimally about the idea of connection and experience of physical reality.
And what is the vibrational frequency of a baby? What about a toddler on average?
The vibrational frequency is very high because, again, they are still very connected to the idea of the spirit realm. They haven't forgotten it. So as they start to focus into the idea of physical reality, the vibration will lower and densify to help them focus on the physical life path that they may have chosen as a soul. So the idea is that when they are very young, their vibrational frequency is still very high. They may not be able to necessarily process the information they are receiving in a way that most humans will understand. Many humans will think it is only their imagination or that they have quote unquote imaginary friends that aren't real. But often they are communicating with spirits and they are remembering who they are. And they may be attempting to let adults know what it is they are experiencing. But most adults on your planet simply won't have the understanding to interpret what they are saying as being anything that has anything to do with reality.
And is there a real benefit or potential improvement in knowing what our mission is in this life? And how does that affect the afterlife?
It is very easy to know what your mission is. As we have often said, everyone's mission and purpose is exactly the same. You are to be yourself as fully as you possibly can. The way that you do that can be different as there are differences in people. This is why, again, we encourage you to follow your passion in the formula, because that's what will allow you to express your purpose in a unique way from everyone else. But the purpose in general is the same: to act on your true vibration, which is acting on your passion, to be yourself, the true self, as fully as you can, to let more of your soul through into the physical form, to bring down the higher vibrations to earth, to create heaven on earth, to move humanity forward in service, to evolve humanity by performing service, to help, to enlighten, to illuminate. These are the general purposes you all have. The way you go about it will be unique to you and will be representative of what it is you're passionate about doing and the challenges that you face and how much you grow, how much you stretch, how much you're willing to be yourself in service to others. All these will be a factor in your capability of fulfilling the mission and purpose you chose to be yourself.
Along those lines, it seems like some people come in and they just know what their passion is. They have a life that follows that fairly easily. Everything synchronistically seems to fall into place. And then there's others who continually feel like they're searching for what am I supposed to do? Who am I? What would you say is the purpose of that distinction?
Well, there can be two basic reasons, although there can be more. Number one is sometimes the idea of someone having a very clear understanding of what it is they need to do can be representative of what you would simply call a more experienced soul. Someone who may have literally hundreds or thousands of Earth lives and simply has chosen as a soul to come in to be of service very directly, and therefore their path, their life path, will be very clear and very much aligned with what it is they need to be of service to humanity and helping humanity evolve forward. The idea, therefore, conversely, may be that those that seem to be unclear about that may not necessarily have as many lives in the earth plane, may be less experienced, and may still be searching for understanding of how things work in physical reality because it's not something they're completely used to. They haven't tried everything yet. They haven't gone through a multitude of experiences yet. And then in conjunction with some of the belief systems that exist on earth that limit a soul from understanding certain things and how things work in the cosmos, that may further limit them and confuse them from being clear about what they can achieve on their life path. But again, it's all for the purpose of facing challenges and stretching and growing and having more and more and more experiences, so that through those multitude of experiences, you can become clearer and clearer and clearer and less susceptible to the belief systems that may exist in a limited society, so that you can break through those limitations and serve humanity in a much more open-eyed, aware, conscious, and clear way.
And how can parents help their children understand how to follow their passion and be able to, in a sense, help them tune into what their actual path in life will be?
We have discussed this many times. We will repeat it here briefly. The idea is for the parent or the adult or the teacher to be imaginative and creative enough to create simulation scenarios in which children can learn the consequences of the choices that they may make in life without necessarily experiencing those consequences out in what you call the real world, so that they are practicing through simulations first. This is where your online games can come into play, where you create games that allow them to understand what the typical consequence of certain choices may be, played out on a computer before they play it out in real life, so that these games are actually representative of true situations and authentic reactions, and take into consideration different emotional and mental and physical factors on your planet that would result in a response that would be relatively realistic, so they can understand that having made the choice that they have made would likely cause these kinds of consequences, these kinds of reactions out in the physical world before they actually attempt it in the physical world. Plus, of course, teaching them the formula, teaching them that they are as powerful as they need to be to attract whatever they need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to achieve that or attract it. Teaching them these principles and anything that you believe they need to know to thrive in physical reality as a lesson, adapting that lesson to what it is they're already passionate about, instead of trying to diminish their passion into the lesson, will teach them and make them passionate about learning, so they will understand how to learn, how to grow, and become mature, balanced, constructive, positive, service adults.
So, in a situation where, let's say, you have a child that gets excited about something, starts doing it, and then, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. And then switches over to something else, and then switches over to something else, and to the point where the parent feels like they're not committed to anything they're doing.
Well, again, it depends on the child, and it depends on how the parent might pick up on the reason for that, because it can be that the child is experimenting, attempting to understand and determine what it is they're truly passionate about. Or it can be the idea of negative belief systems preventing the child from feeling that they can move forward on something that is actually representative of their truth, of their passion. But it is up to the parent to determine, through certain kinds of questioning, when the parent understands how these things work, and questioning the child as to what it is they are doing and why they may be flitting around to different things. Are they experimenting? Are they searching for something? What are they looking for? Are they afraid to move forward on something? Are they afraid to continue it for a lengthy period of time? Do they get distracted by other things? The parent has to, again, be the one with the creative imagination and the knowledge to ask the right questions to determine exactly why the child may be functioning in the way that they're functioning with regard to moving around to different subjects.
That's very helpful. This person was at the Moonlight Meditation in Sedona in September. And they're saying that as they gathered on the outdoor field, they encountered a very large beetle. They let the beetle crawl onto their hand and gently carried it to the edge of the field where it would be safe. A couple of days later, on a flight home from Sedona, they thought about the beetle and wept. Even as typing this question, they felt deep love and communication for that being. Why does that happen? What can you say about that?
Many times, both extraterrestrials and spirit guides and other spirit beings will use animals as messengers and go-betweens to deliver messages to the living. So you have to understand what the beetle may symbolize for that particular person, what it represents symbolically as an icon, and the idea of also being put in touch with the value of every life form on your planet, its reason for being as part of the entire system, creating a balance of that system, tapping into that particular symbol, soliciting that particular emotion from that person to tap into the connectivity that everyone has, can cause someone to cry, to let go of old-fashioned beliefs, outdated beliefs, negative beliefs, irrelevant beliefs, by putting them in touch with the idea that from what appears to be the highest life form to what appears to be the lowest life form, and I say just appears to be, there can be vast, important connections of love and purpose and understanding. It doesn't matter what the life form is. If it has a symbolic representation for that person and it means a certain thing to them through synchronicity, through being a messenger from spirit, then that person can be open to receiving those messages more easily by having had an encounter with a go-between animal that a spirit or an extraterrestrial may have used to deliver that energy, that vibration, or that message to them.
Similarly, some people have such deep love and compassion for animals that even if they come across a dying mouse or a dying bird, they will take time to put it in a place where it can pass smoothly and quietly and not be alone. Is
Yes.
there any value in that, or what's the benefit of that kind of action?
Well, again, animals come with unconditional love and lessons of the heart. So the idea is that animals in those situations can put you in touch with your heart vibration to elicit compassion from you and to allow for you to know how to help a being, whether it's an animal or not, transition into spirit gracefully, smoothly, lovingly, which is a benefit to them, which is soothing to them and soothing to the person that helps them. So it's a lesson of the heart, a lesson of a vibration that can be helpful and soothing and graceful and unconditionally loving to put you in touch with that energy, to allow you to express your compassion, not only for the animal, but for all living things on your planet.
And is there such a thing as like having a bank account in a sense that when you do acts of kindness and you help animals like that or other people, that you build up a resource in a sense that ensures that you'll have a good life? Is there any connection between that idea?
Well, yes, minimally, but that's kind of a human concept. You do learn from it, and you do learn how to choose things that are more vibrationally compatible with the idea of source, with the idea of love, which can allow you to experience more effortlessness in your life. I wouldn't necessarily put it in the way that that has been phrased in the sense of being bankable, but it's simply something that if you get used to it, there is a kind of momentum or inertia that can come with doing things in that more positive vibration that can make it easier for you to experience a flow in your life. So, in some sense, the concept has value, but in others, the terminology may not be completely accurate in the way it has been phrased.
And do some people have more quote unquote protection in that sense, that because they're a better person or anything like that?
No, everyone has the same degree of help, the same degree of protection. Now, again, it may appear to vary in certain ways depending upon what the soul has chosen to experience on its life path. So, certain incidents may occur that may reveal the protection that they may have, but that doesn't mean anyone else that doesn't create those incidents has any less protection. You all have the same amount of protection, of oversight, of guidance. It's simply a matter of what it is that it needs to be used for on your life path as to whether it is revealed more blatantly or less blatantly as you live your life, as it unfolds.
Okay, thank you. Um, this person, participants of the CE5 event that took place in Sedona on Sunday, September 14th, shared pictures, videos of objects, lights seen in the sky from the football field where they were gathered. One participant also experienced something like levitation, in which that person was moved along the ground a short distance. Meanwhile, on Bell Rock, a hovering light was seen in the sky, first in one area of the sky and then in another part of the sky a while later. Can you tell us a little bit more about what took place that evening from your perspective? Who were we interacting with? And were the lights seen on the football field and at Bell Rock the same objects?
Different objects, different UFOs, different beings observing. helping with the upliftment of the vibration of the collective group that allowed many different kinds of experiences to be had. So you were assisted by others, by extraterrestrials, by spirit beings, to uplift your vibration to a point where you could start experiencing different kinds of phenomenology, where you could be more sensitive to the idea of the existence of craft in your skies. So different races, different experiences, but all with a single purpose of helping guide you into a higher frequency that would allow you to start perceiving more things around you and start experiencing other phenomenology that would be representative of a higher frequency. Training, in a sense, practicing, in a sense, to get used to that higher frequency and the things that can go with it, the things that can be experienced if you continue to operate on that higher frequency, and the things that can be perceived around you more commonly and more often if you continue to operate on that higher frequency. So again, I remind you that just even remembering what that felt like on that night will put you back into the same frequency, even if it doesn't feel the same, which it won't, because you're a different person now, so it will feel different. That doesn't mean that when you remember what it felt like, you're not actually back in the same frequency. So go forward from that frequency in all the things you do in acting on your passion in service to others by remembering how it felt on that night.
And maybe that answer applies to this person's question, who says, during the moonlight meditation in Sedona, I experienced intense teeth chattering and deep body chills, and the participant next to me did as well. The following night, on September 14th at Bell Rock, I again felt the same full body chills. What could have caused this experience, and what might it mean?
It means you are shifting vibrations, and it means you are in the presence of spirits. It's common for people to feel cold or chills in the presence of spirit reality. So you were much closer to the spirit vibration, and your body was translating that in the form of chills and other kinds of experiences.
Okay, and you said that ETs have been helping humanity behind the scenes for a long time. But aside from technological progress, it doesn't seem that way. Governments are still corrupt, secretive, and even hostile to their own people, as if they're trying to control or enslave humanity more and more. If some already know you exist and work with you, why is there still so much darkness and deception in the world?
Because this is still the time of choosing. However, if you look for it, you will also see signs in the opposite direction of positivity. So the idea is to pay attention to things like congressional hearings in your own country here in the United States, where they are now exploring things like the existence of extraterrestrials and UFOs, and being more open about the idea and willing about the idea to listen to different people's experiences and encounters with extraterrestrials and UFOs without ridiculing them, without endangering their careers. That's a sign of extraterrestrials working behind the scenes with government officials to allow for congressional hearings to occur that will be more openly commenting and communicating and talking about the idea that extraterrestrials and UFOs do exist. So those kinds of things are the signs that extraterrestrials are working behind the scenes. There are also many extraterrestrials working within what you call the United Nations and in many different countries, again, opening the doorways to sharing information with the idea of the existence of extraterrestrials. And also, you are seeing some evidence of the advancements in things like medicine, genetic engineering, things like that, that will be used in the next decade or so to mitigate many different kinds of conditions and diseases on your planet. So while it may, to some degree, seem subtle at the moment, it's just that the idea of the negative side is so much more blatantly obvious that it can, to some degree, obfuscate the positive side and the positive work being done behind the scenes, because it is still behind the scenes. Therefore, it will leak out more and more. You will start to see more and more evidence of what's going on behind the scenes, up to and including the moment of open contact. And from that point forward, things will start to shift, where those who have been perpetrating the idea of negativity will start having their own negative reactions, and some of which may decide to have more positive responses to the presence of extraterrestrials. But from that point forward, it will start to accelerate, where what has been done behind the scenes can now be done in front of you, in front of your face, and you will see a great acceleration happening over the next couple of decades from that point forward.
And can